What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is the third video that I have filmed in a row, so I promise it's all in the same day. I'm not wearing the same clothes every day for the last 12 days, I swear. We are doing our next video on Constance, guys. This is the second legendary that we are talking about from this banner coming up this weekend, which in my opinion is probably one of the best banners we've seen in a while, at least one of the best banners that I have seen, because I missed, for example, the Zilla 2, I missed the, Dolores 10X, I missed those banners, but this is probably the best banner that I have seen personally for this weekend, with Hollow being one of the greatest epics for rage regen in the game, also just a great healer in general, but also having these two brand new Watcher faction units who are, in my opinion, very, very powerful. But let's go ahead and dive right into Constance. So first things first, her range is good. She's a defender and she has range all around her, which I think is crazy. I don't know if there's any other champions that have this range that are defenders, right? If there are, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm not familiar with all the champions, but I think this is the first champion that I've seen that has an AoE range and is also a defender. Let's start with her talent. When she's healed, the hero restores 3% rage. This effect can be triggered one time every 2 seconds. This is nice. It just means she ults a little more frequently, which is great. We love that. No complaints here. And we're going to have some healers for her. She's going to do some crazy stuff, but that's not it, guys. She is a healer. Right, she's not a healer in terms of her class, she's a defender, but she has a attack-based healing, and she's a ground unit, which in my opinion is a ridiculous game changer. I know we have Mariel who does kind of similar things, but I think that Constance is much more powerful than Mariel for a couple reasons, which we'll get into. But her attack-based healing to one ally in range, restoring HP equal to 60% of the hero's healing multiplier for the ally. And then when the hero blocks enemies, she stops healing and she will strike the blocked enemy, dealing 100% damage. Pretty nice basic attack. It means you can use her as an actual tank, or you can use her as a healer that stands behind your tank and also provides block. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Guild Wars, guys. I think she's going to shine in Guild Wars because one of the biggest strats right now is just zerging your opponent and they don't have enough block to handle it. Well, by having Constance on the field, you can have a healer on the ground that provides you with 3, potentially 4 block if you have the right artifacts. Kind of a crazy champion in my opinion already, and we haven't even gotten into the rest of her skills. So guys, Rejuvenating Chant is her first passive. She increases the healing on all other ground units by 20%. Additionally, her basic attack that heals allies will also apply self-healing at a rate of 40% of the healing multiplier. So this is important for a couple reasons. A, she is a tank, right? Which means you could use her as a way to deal damage and heal when, all of the enemies are currently walking towards her or are just recently killed. You'll be able to get some healing to self-sustain yourself and other allies around her. And so she heals herself, which is great, but that's not it though. Remember her talent, when she's healed, she restores 3% rage, which means that she's going to build up to her ultimate while she's healing others and herself, because she's having an instance of being healed, which in my opinion is pretty phenomenal. Then we go on to the second passive, which is Faithful Renewal. When receiving damage, it restores HP equal to 100% of healing multiplier. This is really cool because, again, she's a tank. She's going to be taking damage at some point or another because she's on the ground. So odds are she's going to take damage, which means she can heal herself when she takes that damage, which in a way, as long as she's not getting one shot, is a form of damage reduction, which is pretty powerful in my opinion. But also, when receiving AoE damage, she will also heal all allies in basic attack range, which, remember, is all of the, 8 blocks around her, okay? For 40% of healing multiplier. The effect can be triggered one time every 30 seconds. So she has the ability when a big AoE, such as Void Rift, where you have that big AoE that drops on, one of your tanks, if you happen to not positioned correctly, you're able to get some healing, right? And even if you do position correctly, she's going to get hit, and then she's going to heal herself from being hit, which is really, really powerful. But guys, and this is probably the thing I'm the most excited about, is her ultimate. And the reason is because Constance is basically a buffed up version of Dolores. Guys, her ultimate applies inspiration, which is the attack bonus based on the caster's attack, to all allies in range for 15 seconds. This is crazy because this actually ends up going up to 45% inspiration, which is, if I remember correctly, 5% more than what Dolores provides. The only problem here is, A, she is a tank. And it's going to be difficult to build her tanky while also focusing on attack. And so this is why personally I think she's going to be a secondary tank, where you put her behind your main tank. She's able to heal your allies, heal your tank, and then also apply the inspiration from behind her, and you can build her less tanky because you want attack for inspiration. And also, another thing that's really important is she gets her ultimate back very quickly with this 3% rage every time she gets healed, which personally I think is very, very powerful. One thing I will say is she does cost 18, which is a lot more than Dolores, so it'll be more difficult to get her out on the field and get her building that ultimate sooner, whilst with Dolores, not only is she a support class, she's able to get, you know, Spirit Horn, for example, if you want, but also, you know, she's not able to start with, you know, that crazy amount of rage at the start of the fight like Dolores is. But then we can go into the Awakens, and I think the Awakens is actually pretty powerful. Her A1 is not bad. For every ally present in range, increase healing multiplier by 5% up to 15%. I think this is just a nice passive. It's nothing crazy. Of course, I want to see how much her heals actually do. She might not be the greatest healer because of all the other things she provides. She might be like Dolores, for example, where, yeah, she's a healer, but she doesn't do that much healing, right? So this could be potentially good, could be potentially meh, right? Her A2 is just attack, pretty standard. Her A3, when receiving healing, the hero increases her attack by 10% for 10 seconds. Personally, I think this is great, right? Because again, she's going to be healing herself anytime she heals another ally. So this is going to be up, I would assume, probably 100% of the time if you can get her to A3, which is just makes it easier to build her, right? You can build her with, you know, a little more survivability stats and rely more on this 10% attack buff, for example. Then we go to A4, where she just gets an additional rage regen per auto. And then her A5, this is where she is going to be really, really, really good. And of course, you're thinking, well, yeah, Panda, she's an A5 legendary. Of course she's going to be good. But guys, this A5 is crazy for her. And the reason is because when she's attacking blocked enemies, the hero restores an ally's HP equal to 40% of healing multiplier. Basically what this means, guys, is it no longer matters if you are acting as a tank or as a support champion. You can be doing both things at once. This basic attack becomes hit the ally, deal the damage, heal the hit the enemy, I'm sorry, deal the damage, heal the ally, effectively heal yourself, right? Pretty crazy in my opinion. I think Constance is going to be a great addition to the Watcher faction. Another thing to keep in mind, guys, is if you happen to get lucky, and I said this in the previous video as well, but if you happen to get lucky and you pulled this weekend and got Leia, this Lord skill is going to be crazy powerful in general, but when you add in someone such as Constance, it's going to be even better because you're going to be getting this crazy damage multiplier when any faction ally is healed. And once you get her to A5, for example, which again, I know that's difficult to get, but that's going to be a ridiculous late game strategy, I believe, where you're just going to be healing everyone all the time because every basic ally, or basic attack is going to heal, which is also going to heal herself. So she's going to be increasing her own damage. It's going to be a crazy, you know, crazy thing. So if you happen to get really lucky and get Leia this last week, or you had her before, or you get her in the near future, and you also pull on this banner this weekend, and you happen to pull Constance, I think you're going to have a very, very solid set of champions for a Watcher faction. And to be honest, guys, this Watcher faction is slowly starting to become a very powerful faction. I know that this is probably considered one of the worst factions in the game at the moment. And, you know, I think that's starting to change. You know, we've got some okay champions. Like, we've got Brienne, who's okay. We've got Lightlock, who's okay. We've got Livian, who's okay, right? Iona, who's okay. You know, we don't have any crazy amounts of nonsensical stuff. But like, we have Idril, who's very powerful. We have Regulus, who's a very good tank. Of course, we have Laya, who's a very good healer. But now with the addition of both Alora and Constance, I think this faction is starting to shape up to have a pretty solid set of team members, you know, in the form of having, for example, Regulus in the front line, Constance right behind him, Idril as your DPS, Laya, you know, healing everybody, applying damage increase, and then Alora also as a DPS. I think you're going to have a pretty solid set of 5 if you happen to get lucky and pull all 5 of those champions. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below, are you going to be pulling on this weekend's banner? I know that I am going to be pulling on it, and I'm very excited to see if I can get one of these legendaries. We will hope that we can get one of these legendaries. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. Leave a like if you liked the video. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. I will see you in the next one. Peace.